Jesus finishes what we have as Matthew chapter 24 with a pretty tart parable about servants who the master left in charge of his household. One was, he was kind of a jerk. I don't remember what the Greek word for jerk is, but he was one. He, instead of managing the household and stewarding his responsibility well, he was beating up the other servants and getting drunk and throwing parties. And, well, when the master came home, he was not happy. In fact, Jesus said that, well, here it is. Suppose that servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and he begins then to beat his fellow servants and eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour when he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. What's that about? Well, pretty simply, it's about be ready and be faithful in your readiness. Before that, the picture of the bad servant, he talks about, this is in verse 45, who then is the faithful and wise servant, whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly, I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. Well, the point being, the reward for faithfulness is greater stewardship. This is a hard thing for me because, well, when I was young, I always wanted more. I want to be have more authority. I want more responsibilities. I want to be respected more, right? And I had energy, so bring it on. As I've gotten older, is way less and less about more. I mean, I went through a period where I thought, boy, my wagon is full. If I don't think I can hold another single rock. Well, I don't know. I don't think I'm unique in that way. At this point in my life, I have begun to sift through. I really think I just want responsibility for things that matter. If it doesn't matter, maybe, but I don't feel compelled. And I don't think that's like, oh, look, I'm so mature. I'm old. I don't have the energy for all that stuff. Okay, that's how Jesus finishes what we have as Matthew 24. So what's the point? Well, a couple of things. Big point. Jesus says there will be signs. These signs are actually, when you look at the map of history, these signs are quite common. Wars between nations, all kinds of difficulties and trying situations, and some of what he talked about. Now, in retrospect, we look back and realize this was what happened when Jerusalem was sacked by Titus in 70 A.D. Okay, a bigger message, I think, is nobody knows when he's coming back, not even him. Only the Father knows. So, what does that do for us. One thing is, predictions are, I don't want to be flippant, but predictions are silly. So don't make a prediction. And here's the point: live faithfully. As I wait for the return of my Savior, I want to live faithfully. I want to steward my life. I want to steward my opportunities intentionally. Good stewardship almost never happens accidentally. I want to be intentional. I want to be that servant that Jesus talked about, the good servant, the good steward. Well, here's the other part. Probably the final lesson for me out of Matthew 24 is it's kind of impossible to truly understand. Anyway, for me, I get pieces of it, but I can't say I know what that is, I know what that is, I know what that is, I don't know. And then there's this last point. Do I need to know? For me, the answer is no. I don't have, there is none of that I have control over. The only thing I have control over is very limited, but I do have some control over my stewardship. The stewardship of my life, the stewardship of my abilities and my opportunities and my time. Okay, so we move on to Matthew chapter 25. And in a way, Jesus begins with a parable that in a way is a follow-up on all the things that he said in what we have as chapter 24. So here we go, verse 1. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. So we're talking about now the setting for this parable, this story, is a Jewish wedding, a first century Jewish wedding. You've got 10 virgins. Another accurate translation for that term virgins would be young women. Generally, well, it would also be young unmarried women. So there were these 10 virgins who took their lamp and went to meet the bridegroom, because that was the tradition, that a huge party was prepared, but the bridegroom would not announce in advance when he was planning to come. And so everybody had to just wait. And when he wanted to, that's when he came. And sometimes some of the more, I don't know, I'd say crafty joker types would delay and delay and delay. Well, of these 10 virgins, you had two separate groups. Verse 2, 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. What made them foolish and wise? Well, let's read on. Verse 3, the foolish ones took their lamps, but they did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. Well, of course you realize the kind of lamp we're talking about is an oil lamp, but not like what you see at the Cracker Barrel or, these were fueled by olive oil. When Debbie and I had the gift of going across into Jerusalem from Amman, Jordan, a few years ago, we went to an antique an antiquity shop. That's different than an antique shop. This man had a shop that had archaeological antiquities from Jesus' day. We bought a little lamp that will fit in the palm of your hand that dated to 25 to 30 AD. That would have been the kind of lamp that these young women would have carried. I wish we're in Berlin as I record this, and I didn't bring the lamp with me for lots of reasons. Maybe when I get home, which is going to be about 6 weeks from now, I'll show it to you. But anyway, it's not a big lamp, and it doesn't hold a ton of oil, so it made sense to prepare and carry additional oil. These were thoughtful young women. Somebody had taught them how to think ahead and make plans. There was the other 5 who they just grabbed the lamp and they went. But the problem was, in verse 5, the bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, long after their bedtime, remember in Jesus' day, you know when bedtime was? It was not very long after sundown because they got up at sunrise. Okay. At midnight, a cry rang out. Here's the bridegroom, come out to meet him. Okay. Oh, everybody woke up. Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. I mean, you got to trim the wick. The foolish ones said to the wise, give us some of your oil, our lamps are going out. No, they replied, there may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves. Seems harsh? Not really. It's kind of like, hey, I didn't bring enough for you and me. I can't do that. So, verse 10, while they were on their way to buy the oil, these foolish young women, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. That was the practice. Once the bridegroom arrived and they shut the door, nobody got in late. Verse 11, later the others also came. Lord, Lord, they said, open the door for us. But he replied, truly I tell you, I don't know you. Then Jesus says, therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. This reinforces the idea. Keep faithful watch. And you could probably stretch and pull this in a lot of different directions. And so what was the oil and what represents the lamp and on and on. Knock yourself out if you want to do that. But for me, this is the point. Keep watch, because you don't know the hour. I want to live my life. This is a big ambition, I realize, but I want to live my life in such a way that I will be doing my normal kind of life the day Jesus returns, and I'll be ready for him because I've been keeping watch. I've been staying ready. Well, okay. I'm going to shut her down for today, and maybe we'll talk a little more about this next time. In fact, we will, because there's another parable that Jesus follows this one with. I'll see you then on Soul Care with Stevie.